welcome everybody. In terms of housekeeping, yes, we will record this. Yes, we will have the slides available for you. Rob, probably, I'm guessing tomorrow morning, right? Like, is that fair?
What it looks like. Yep.
Okay. So tomorrow morning, look for the slides. If you don't see them, check your spam folder, and if you don't see them there, just shoot me an email or a message on Facebook or whatever, and we'll make sure we get you the slides. If you have Q&A as we go, hit the Q&A button, and then it shows up on our screens. We can make sure to get to everybody's questions. I think that is all the housekeeping. Stacy, did I forget anything that we usually cover on these?
Did you mention if the slides are being sent out?
Yes, the slides will be sent out, so you do not need to take furious notes. We will send you a link to the slides. Okay, background on us. This is us from, I think our last volunteering thing was in Denver, as I recall, not too long ago. We are a consulting firm, Bringer Solutions Group. We've got an incredible team. There's about 15 of us. We've worked at all these amazing organizations. We help lots more. We do fundraising consulting. We run annual appeals. We do a whole lot of outsourced Razor's Edge database administration, which is not anything we ever thought we would do. It just kind of happened. Like we kept helping clients do fundraising and they always had Razor's Edge issues. So we started helping them with that. And then the phone just started ringing off the hook from clients that said, hey, I heard you guys know a lot about Razor's Edge. Can you help us do XYZ? So it just kind of turned into this little side business, which is now booming. And what we do is a whole lot of these webinars. So if you haven't been on them before, welcome. It's good to see you. If you've been to many of our webinars, thank you for coming back. We spend a lot of time just trying to share really practical advice for people. Okay. And it's something we're good at. It's something that the people seem to appreciate. So as long as you guys like it, we'll keep doing it. More background on us. We have, in addition to consulting, we've come up with some cool little niche products. One, many of you guys use already. It's called AskGenius. That's the tool we built that helps you set ask amounts for a whole bunch of people at scale. So if you're sending out your annual appeal mailing, you got 10,000 people you're going to send a mailing to, and you want to make sure that everybody gets asked for the proper amount and not just kind of a one size fits all. AskGenius is the tool that you can connect to Razor's Edge, and you can decide if you want to be aggressive or conservative. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. If you used it, you know how much more that you raise. We're pretty darn proud of it. Then we have another tool called AutomateGenius, which Stacy and Austin are spearheading for us. AutomateGenius is this little service where you connect Razor's Edge originally to Power Automate. We've since gone beyond that, but basically you can connect Razor's Edge to do a whole bunch of cool things like send emails for you, create reports for you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but it's amazing and it's our new passion. Stacy and Austin are the best in the world at it, so you're going to benefit from hearing from them. Final note from us, again, some housekeeping stuff. We do this all the time. I mentioned all those resources, Rob, are available on pringersolutions.com. I believe it's /webinars. Is that right? Or you just
That
click
is
up
correct. Yeah. /resources/webinars. We had to build it out a little bit.
the double slash pringersolutions.com/resource/webinar. We got it all under one roof. Rob did that, and we're all very, very proud of it. So everything you can think of, from how do you use email and fundraising, how to set up a recurring gift program, what's the best donation page look like, what's the best pledge card look like, all that's available to you. If you want to know more about any of this stuff, if you want to hear about when we're releasing new research or webinars, you can sign up for our newsletter. I bet Robbie, even probably if he hasn't already, is going to put that link in the chat. So if you want to sign up for a newsletter, that's where we announce all the fun stuff we're doing. Okay. All right. Oh, wait, one more. Can you guys believe it? It's BBCon time already. If you are on this webinar, you probably have Razor's Edge. PSG, we are the largest consumer of Razor's Edge on the planet because so many nonprofits have outsourced it to us. We are doing a fun thing, second annual. Last year we decided to do this on like 4 hours notice, I think. We said, oh, it'd be fun if we did a session. We tell people about BBCon. So we're doing this on Thursday. You can sign up. You're going to get travel tips on how to get from the Seattle airport to the convention center or your hotel. We're going to give restaurant recommendations for a bunch of us that have spent a lot of time in Seattle. Stacy is going to highlight what she thinks are going to be the best sessions. And it's hard for her to do because she's the nicest person in the world, so she wants to highlight all 300 sessions, and we make her whittle it down to 5. Austin's going to share tips and all of that fun stuff. So make sure to sign up for that. Again, we can put the link in the chat. And another thing that we didn't want to do, but we had to because nobody else was doing it, we have a Slack channel. So if you go to BBCon, there used to be this great app that Blackbaud would put out and you could kind of interact. That has kind of gone away and they don't do it anymore. So we needed a place where people could schedule rides together and somebody say, hey, I'm at the airport. Does anybody else want to share an Uber? Or share photos and memes and all the fun stuff. So if you want, you can join the Slack channel. It's free to everybody. We host it during BBCon, and then it goes away again after BBCon. So feel free to check that out. Okay. Holy cow, Stacy, that was a lot of intro, and they're all just like, tell me about. I'm here for Insight Designer, right? Like, let's cut to the chase. All right. Ask and you shall receive. Let's talk about. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how things used to be in Blackbaud. Then we're going to talk about sort of the state of where things are now, and then we're going to talk about 3 different buckets of things you can do. Things you can do in Razor's Edge, things you can do with Insight Designer, things you can do through automation. So this is a primer for if you're looking to do reporting, looking to do a better way to do reporting, or if you're an organization and you wish you had better reports, but your database person's saying that's impossible, this is a good webinar for you to walk through the lay of the land. Okay. So back in the old days, this was Razor's Edge, right? You had built-in dashboards from hosted Razor's Edge, right? Razor's Edge 7, there's certain sort of clunky dashboards, but it kind of was heading in that direction. A lot of people did not use them because they weren't really all that useful. So what would they do, Stacy? They would put stuff into Crystal reports. There's a connection, I think, to Crystal reports. Is that right? There's like some certified or not certified?
Yeah, they used to be built into Razor's Edge a little bit, and they kind of still are, sort of, if you know all the tricks. I would not attempt to do it myself anymore.
That's the most Blackbaud answer ever. So it's still kind of there, but not really, and it changed. But so Blackbaud used to be BFS with Crystal reports. They stopped they sunsetted, I think, around security stuff and Citrix. So we can get into as much or little as that as people want to know. But basically, it was not unusual, back up 5 or 6 years, people using Razor's Edge, database administrators, people needing reports, and they're not creating the reports with like a simple, oh yes, you need that report, let me click this button and give you what you need. That was not the world. It was, let me export all this data into Access or Excel or something and manipulate it, so that I know how to do it, and then create it and serve it up to you in a way that, is how you want it. And that was just how it was, right? And everybody has different needs, so that was kind of what was going on. The good news is the world has gotten better, okay? There might still be cases where you have to pull data out of Razor's Edge to manipulate it and present it in the way you want to, but those cases are getting smaller and smaller, right? By and large, you should be able to do what you need to do, either through built-in reporting or through Insight Designer or through automation. So we're going to walk through what that looks like. Before we do, one more thing we get asked about a ton. Acknowledgement letters. Let's talk about back in the day. I think it was 2022. Stacy, Austin, is that right? Like I was looking back to my notes to see when I think it was like we heard about like November. It was like this big announcement that
we threw something together like 5 days before Christmas.
Yes, that's right. It was a Christmas massacre. So again, this is a security thing. Blackbaud used to have this really helpful thing where you could like merge stuff right out of Razor's Edge. That went away. Okay, so the connection to Microsoft Office went away. We did entire webinars on this, so like you can't just do things with a click of a button anymore. So the current state of acknowledgement letters, because this is kind of tied in with reporting, is number one, we have a whole lot of clients that are just doing merges outside of Razor's Edge. So Stacy, this is pulling data out and then just running normal mail merges.
Yeah, a lot of people still use that same mail function, but they export the data instead of exporting letters, and then you have to, run 5 or 6 different mail merges, and it's a lot of setup, a lot of manual work.
So, and that's probably the advanced ones, right? Like instead of pulling the letters out, you're pulling out the data, and then Austin, I know how Austin would do it. She would build the world's most elaborate and beautiful if-then statement mail merge flow, and she'd click a button and all the merges would happen inside a Word. Some clients are doing that. Some are doing it kind of halfway. Others are just getting the data out and then typing everything in, which is a terrible way to do it. But that's how people are doing acknowledgements. You can also use third-party. We think the world of Stu and the team at RedArc. They've got a great product called Letterbox. They kind of jumped into this space when Razor's Edge got rid of the direct connection. So RedArc is good. That's another good current solution. Lockboxes are doing this for a lot of organizations. If you're larger, you can just outsource this problem, right? So whoever's processing your gifts, if it goes to a bank or a gift processor, they can also just handle all of your acknowledgments. And I think we even have webinars where we talk about that. So that's kind of the state of the land. Razor's Edge used to pull everything out, white knuckle it through, create the reports you needed in some other program and serve it up. It's getting better. Acknowledgement, same thing. Used to be kind of good to be able to merge out of that. Now it's kind of, you got to pull stuff out. So anything you want to talk about on that, you can ask us in the Q&A. But let's talk about current state. Okay, so it's a brave new world. So no longer do we have to pull data out. The world now looks like this. ChatGPT put this together for me. I said, take that same picture, but make it like future-ish. And there's like little jellyfish-looking UFOs. It's very exciting. So it's an exciting time, right? So here's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about 3 ways that you can do reporting. One is through Razor's Edge NXT. Okay, Stacy's going to talk about that. One is through Insight Designer, which is an add-on. You have to buy it, but then we're going to show you what you can do if you do purchase it. And then I want to show you what you can do through AutomateGenius, through automation, the sending of reports and all sorts of fun stuff. Okay, so that is the plan right now. We're going to go through all 3 of those. Stacy, with your permission, can I have you share your screen? Let's talk about Razor's Edge first. What is baked into Razor's Edge? Out of the box, you've got NXT. What dashboard reporting stuff can you do? What does it look like?
So first off, if you have not taken a look at the reports in the built-in report things in Razor's Edge NXT WebView, you need to do it. They're fun and they can probably solve some problems for you. There are a bunch of pre-built reports that live here. So you go to fundraising reporting and then it takes forever to load, but there is a list here of pre-built reports, and this funds one is one. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't care, but that's where they are if you want to find them. This little plus guy. They'll probably load faster for you, maybe not. So this is the funds dashboard, but it allows you to see the top funds in your system. You have all these filters up here, so I could select individual funds if I wanted to see only certain things, or I have filtered this by fund category, so I can just see my campaign dashboard. You can filter by dates. You can look at either received or committed revenue, so that'll give you different results here. The best part about this, this particular little guy here is showing the goal in yellow and then the revenue in blue, but you can click on basically everything in here. Well, not that one apparently. You can click on everything in here that has gifts in it. Let's find one that it will show me a gift. And it's not working. This should work, right?
Oh, and
Typically, when you click on these, a thing flies out over here.
There may be an issue with WebView currently.
Oh, okay. So WebView is broken, but usually if you're not
like,
on camera,
Razor's Edge is crashing right now.
so this is the nice thing about our webinars is we record these and people can go back and watch, and they're gonna be like, oh, they must have been doing this webinar in.
Don't try to reload any page.
September 10th. I know that I will not click my refresh button. So typically when you would click this little blue bar, a thing would fly out over here on the right that would list all the gifts that are being listed in that area. And it has all these other fun built-in things. So it shows that the funds, you know, what gifts have been given by campaign and by appeal, by constituent code, giving level, and by age group. This is a test database, so we don't have any ages in here, but these are super, super cool and useful, and there's a bunch of them. So check that out sometime when Razor's Edge is working. This one we may not be able to show you if these aren't loading, because this one takes a long time to load for me today anyway. But this is a really cool dashboard called benchmarking, and it allows you to select your area of like your vertical, right? So if you're K-12, if you're hospital, whatever, it allows you to select that and whether you're a small, medium, or large organization, and then you can see your data compared to other organizations that are like you. So if you haven't checked that one out, definitely look at it. It's super interesting and fun. Sorry, I can't show it to you right now.
I gave a presentation one time, Stacy. I was young in fundraising consultant world, and I gave a presentation to like this big audience, and I was very nervous. And I was at a podium and I plugged in my laptop and I'm like, just, you know, I can't speak if I don't have slides. That's just the way I, you know, like it's all the effort goes into the visual. And I'm like 10 minutes in and my computer just dies completely because I had it plugged in, but like the power strip wasn't plugged in, so I didn't know that. So I'm just sitting there just sweating bullets in front of like, you know, 150 people like, okay, so now imagine if there was a slide and then this really cool image came in and then you'd all laugh like, oh, it was just horrible. But thank you. I'm looking through the chat here. Everybody, luckily it's a very knowledgeable group and they're like, oh, Razor's Edge is down. So thanks for understanding. Let me do it this way. I've got a slide. I will share my screen here.
Yeah, let me stop my sharing since this is not that interesting anymore.
I'll do a recap for folks. All right. So we'll do, this is, okay. So this is Razor's Edge reporting. So you've got native reporting, right? Tell me about, so insights, you can, like, tell me about what you can edit. Like, is it just they serve out certain things and you can't mess with it a bunch, or how does
You
that work?
cannot mess with hardly anything. You can change all those filters at the top that I showed you, but that's really it. One thing that's cool in the kind of built-in reports also is that you can schedule them to email them to yourself or to somebody else, which is super useful. So
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Tell me about Work Center. What is Work Center? This is like where major gift officers and relationship managers live, is that right?
the Work Center, yes, is an area that was designed especially for major gift officers. It shows them their portfolio, all their people. It shows them all the actions that have been assigned to them, gifts that have come in from their constituents, all of those kinds of things in one page, where it's easy to see everything kind of quickly. And those are very similar to the kind of built-in reports where you have filters that you can change. And yeah, and just a lot of information, hopefully kind of right at your fingertips.
And this is all in, for any newcomers, this is in WebView, right? So there's database view, there's WebView. Is it fair to say that a lot of the advances of WebView were in this area, like for fundraisers and major gift op? Is that like really what WebView was first focused on? Is that?
That is my understanding. I mean, the Work Center was the first part of WebView to exist. So it really was kind of a place where the major gift officers didn't have to look at all 85,000 appeals and attributes and things that are on a constituent record that those of us that are running mailing lists care about, but but they don't, right? So the idea of NXT WebView was really to like kind of get the information that you wanted in an easier way to see it.
Yep. And Austin, what's the latest we hear about database view going away? Let's just throw some chum in the water here and get people's blood boiling.
So Blackbaud is moving towards a total web solution with a goal of having that established by the end of 2025.
Okay. Why does that freak everybody out?
Because that means database view is going away. So they finally started working on the primary features of database view, like reporting and query and all those sort of staple features that we think of when we think of database view. And those are moving. I 100% promise you, because there are a lot of things in EAP right now, like a lot more things than I think maybe Blackbaud would have in EAP simultaneously.
EAP is early adopter program for
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically in beta testing, right? So there's a bunch of customers in there playing around with things, giving developers direct feedback, make this change, this doesn't make sense, that sort of
right.
thing. Yeah.
So current state is, well, old state was database view, and then they rolled out web view, which was not really like complete. It was like sort of, then you're living in two worlds, right? So you have database view and everybody still uses it for like gift entry. Like you're in the right down the fairway if you're still using database view. Web view was fun stuff like major gift officer and better reporting and lists and things like that. Now they're saying they're getting to a point where everything will be on the web by 2025. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah. So I think they're aiming for the end of 2025. Realistically, I think it's probably going to be around 2026, but don't assume that this is like every other date they've put out. Like, I think they're really serious about this, and it's better off to plan for it and anticipate that change than to ignore it and hope it never happens.
Are people worried because it will change? Like, I think of all the people that we employ, right, that are just wizards at Razor's Edge, and you know something really well. You know database view inside and out. You do great things with it. Are people worried because they're like everything changes and it's in a new place and sometimes called different things, or are they worried because they don't think Blackbaud's going to build it right in WebView so that it's not going to work, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both, just like not trusting the process. And there's always cobwebs and like angstiness around change management, and it's a whole new thing presented in a whole new way, but it's kind of still the same thing. So it's just the unknown, right? And we have some questions in the chat, like, do we think any self-hosted orgs will be affected by this? Potentially, right? So, there's a potential that Blackbaud might say you're on your own kind of thing. I think that's sort of how self-hosted orgs already exist. But if they want support moving forward, they might have to change, which would be even more of a drastic thing for them.
And again, we're not Blackbaud, right? We are a giant user of Blackbaud. We don't try. We are very candid and real with all of our subscribers and customers, everybody about, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel for Blackbaud in that current situation is not what anybody wanted, right? Like when they announced the Razor Edge NXT, I guarantee you they weren't thinking, and then for 12 years, we're just going to live in two completely separate systems that kind of talk to each other, but not really, and things are named different. Like that's not what they want. You have to get to a single solution. But yeah, I don't envy them. Like I think Trish or somebody mentioned in the chat, like there's a whole lot of things in database view that are not yet in web view. So if you're going to move us over there, you better, get the stuff in that we need. All right. I better move us on or we're going to talk about this forever because I know.
We'll go on a major tangent and 45 minutes will go
Rob,
by.
do we have a session coming up on just talking about like the move to like getting rid of database view? Do we have a whole webinar on that?
We should.
I'll look at the December one. That does ring a bell. It may be in December.
We might break the internet if we announce that we're going to have just a whole session on like what it means and what it looks like. Okay, so put a pin in that. Join us later for more talk on moving to complete web view. Let's talk about. All right, so that was Razor Edge NXT. Some built-in dashboards, can't do a lot of editing. There are some cool features like you can email yourself, a report. So look in there if you haven't yet. The benchmarking stuff is really cool. Insight Designer. Stacy, do you want me to keep going or can you share a screen?
Yeah, I cannot share a screen. There's nothing. I could share a screen with nothing on it.
Let's not do that.
And I'm so annoyed that I didn't make screenshots because I built a super cool little dashboard to show everybody today. Insight Designer is really fun. Same thing here. If you haven't tried this out, go check it out. It allows you to create all sorts of those kinds of charts with pretty colors, and also do kind of grids full of either donor names or how each fund is doing, including, how much they've received, how much they have outstanding in pledges or recurring gifts. And then, like how close you are to your goal. So, right, like that's what my dashboard was that I was going to show you. It has a list of funds and it has how much is raised for each and how close they are to goal, number of donors, average amount per donor, those kinds of things. You can also do visualization type things with graphs and charts. So you can do a pie chart that shows these are all our donors and this is, which funds they're giving to, or this is which fundraisers brought in how many dollars, or you can do bar graphs that show the goal and then the the amount raised. So there's a million things you can do. It's super, super useful. I think they're really fun. I think there may be a free trial. So if you haven't checked this out, go look at it. It's something you can sign up for in the product at the, you can just go do it. You don't have to contact your person to do it. You can just say, hey, I want to do this free trial. So if you haven't done that yet, definitely do it. It allows you to do just a ton of customized things.
Okay. So if you're in regular NXT, they've got the canned dashboards and things, and you want to edit something that's a little bit, and you find you can't do it, Insight Designer is where you go. So cost is $2,400, $2,800. We'll probably get in trouble for sharing that, but we see all the contracts for all these organizations we work with. Usually they're asking for a 3-year term. Rob, you put out a lot of dashboards, like for our diocesan clients. Like, what's the win there? Why are so many dioceses moving to Insight Designer?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to one of the things you said too is, so yeah, if the canned ones can't do it, this is where you go to start. And even sometimes you still can't get everything that you absolutely want to see. I was thinking about how when I started doing this several years ago and putting those together, my initial response would always be, no, I don't think we can do that. And then much like Stacy and Austin, who are far better at this than I am, we'd eventually figure out a way to get close to what our clients were asking for. So there are some limitations in Insight Designer. So even if you do purchase that, know that you may not be able to create absolutely every dashboard or insight that you want to see. So just that being there. To get back to your question with our diocese, that fourth bullet point on there too is why it works really well with us in these types of organizations where the diocese have churches under them, that we are able to get access to different people who are not necessarily in the system, or if they are in the system, we only added them with the sole purpose of viewing this dashboard. So then the diocese doesn't have to create multiple reports to send out on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. These people have access directly to their dashboard. They can only see their data. They can get the updates in real time or within 4 hours of real time, and have that access without having to the old ad. And the great thing about this with any organization would be you don't have to go to your DBA then and ask them to create this report and then wait for them to create the report and then get you the report. The idea with these dashboards is you eliminate all those steps, and the person who wants that information has direct live data to go to it.
Yes. So stakeholder reports, right? So board members or anything like we have school systems that are all sharing one Razor's Edge environment. Like any situation like that where you have people that want data but you don't want them in there mucking stuff up, this is a great solution. It's a dashboard. You can give them access. You can give them login. You don't have to pay per seat, right? So like you pay 2,400, 2,500 bucks for this. You can share a dashboard with 50 people, right? Stacy, is that right? Okay.
Exactly right.
And there's also the temporary option, which isn't always great for a long-term solution, but for the temporary solution, you can create a 2-week password for people to have access to it. So if it is just you have a board meeting coming up and you want your board members to have access to it, give them the link with a password you create for 2 weeks. They can have access to it for 2 weeks. And then after that, you can decide if you want to re-up and send them a new password or not. But you can at least give them temporary access without even having to add them as a user to the system. That's the nice part.
Okay. All right. So Insight Designer is where you go when you know that you don't want to mess around and access or manipulate it. You think it should be doable. It's what 90% is probably doable in Insight Designer. And then there's a little bit of wonkiness around. Was it recurring giving and pledging is always involves some extra steps? Is that right?
Definitely. If you want to, there is a recurring gift projection piece in the insights that is super cool and useful, but you'll definitely want to play with it and make sure you know exactly what it's doing. Because sometimes it does not do what you expect. So you just want to be careful that you're not like way over reporting or way under reporting things because
you don't want to end up in that position that we've all been where you share the great news and then you learn later that you over reported by $1 million and you're
right.
trying to find out how to break the news that you don't really have all those recurring gifts coming in.
Yes.
Okay, so good advice. So NXT's got some basic stuff. Inside Designer, pay for it, mess around with it. Stacy's a big fan, so she likes it, says it's easy to use, and there's some wonkiness to it, of course, like all things, but you can use it and get generally where you want to go. What about, there's a ton of questions in the chat, and I will get to all of them, I promise here. Some warnings here. Custom fields, what does that mean, Stacy? No custom fields.
So attributes are not at all involved in anything at all in Insight Designer. So if you are trying to filter on an attribute or on a gift or a constituent attribute or any of those kinds of things, you just can't do it. So if that's something that you rely heavily on, then sorry, it won't work.
Okay. Sorry. And of course, random glitches and gaps. For instance, the random glitch of we're doing a webinar today on reporting in NXT and NXT is down. So random glitches like that keep everything fun and exciting and we're on our toes. All right, let's talk about automation stuff. So we talked about NXT built-in or pay a little bit more for Insight Designer. AutomateGenius is kind of a different animal, right? So this is not like a regression of like, here's a better reporting tool. Automate and automation in general you can do some reporting stuff, but it's a little bit different in how it approaches it. So Stacy, I ask you to do this all the time. Tell us what automation is, how we got involved in this, and then I'll kind of run with it from there.
Yep. So Power Automate is a Microsoft product. It just lives out in Microsoft, like Outlook and Word and all the things. And it is basically a big connector that allows you to connect all the apps in the world to all the other apps in the world. And Blackbaud released a certified connector. So it, in a very secure way and a very clean way, you can go and grab your Razor's Edge data and use it to send emails, or you can take information from a SurveyMonkey form and put it back into Razor's Edge. So it's kind of a drag and drop low code way to do basically all the things you've always wanted to do.
So we may not use it to just build complex reports, although you can, but that's more of like a Power BI type thing. We use it to do a lot of things like if you have a team that wants email every morning of like all the gifts above $1,000 or something like that. Like that's how it's sort of automation plus delivery of some kind is often how we end up using it. We like it. So AutomateGenius is the product that we developed just to kind of harness all of that. We like it because in all things nonprofit, you're always being asked to do more with less. You can put forward a little bit less effort and have a much bigger impact on your donors, which we love. So some examples of automation and how it impacts reporting. And Austin, I'm going to ask you, to explain this while I cough, hopefully into a muted microphone here. What are we talking about here on Teams and Slack, and what can you do?
Yeah, so you can trigger an automation off of an event in WebView. So say a gift's added to the system, and the automation running in the background can put that directly into a Teams or Slack channel. I like this a lot because if you're sharing this amongst a group of people, or you want something to happen post notification, Teams offers the great ability to just give it a thumbs up, right? I saw this, I did something with it, right?
Yep, I love it. So this is why we kind of put it all into the automation, why we put automation alongside reporting, because in many cases they're tied together, right? There's a reason you're being asked for that report is because somebody wants to know who RSVP'd for the event. In reality, you don't need to pull that report every time. Just create an automation that pings them in a Teams channel and tells them so they can have it up to the second, and then your job is a whole lot easier, right? They get what they want sooner. You don't need to pull the report. So you can do this in Teams, you can do this in Slack, you can do any number of things. We have clients who create little notifications anytime somebody makes a planned gift, because when somebody makes a planned gift or a stock gift, someone else in the department then has to do XYZ. They have to value the gift, or they have to send a letter to the bank, or they have to sell it, or whatever it might be. So simple little notifications. The sky's the limit on what you can do. We're pretty bullish on them. All of our clients seem to really fall in love with them. Daily Digest. Stacy, walk me through what is this? So this is another sort of an automated report that we do.
Yep, a lot of DBAs are asked to do this kind of thing. Can you send me a list of all the gifts that were entered yesterday, or everything from last week for this fund, or whatever? So instead of you having to go run queries and exports and then email things to people, this can just go out to Razor's Edge, find all the things that you wanted for that, for whatever the request is, and then put it directly into their email. Even better, this actually includes links to these records. So those names go to Mr. Peters' constituent record. The gift amount, the donation of $5, whatever, goes to the gift record in Razor's Edge. So, so this goes directly, into somebody's inbox where they already are, and gives them quick access to more information if they want it.
This was game changer for many organizations realizing, again, so how many DBAs get these? Oh man, I just want to get an email every single day, create me a report, tell me who gave. You can automate this. And what we loved about getting deeply involved in Automate is that everything kind of then progresses on itself. So as soon as we started building these, Stacy teaches the development director, hey, you can get this automatically and you can link to the record. Well, then the development director or the major gift officer is like, okay, what would really be cool is what if I want to send a person an email? Like if they gave a gift of $1,000, is there a way that we can do that? And the answer is yes. And in fact, I encourage everybody here, Rob, if you don't mind, if we could drop that link in the chat too. We just put this up. Like I think it was like last Wednesday, Rob smashed this all together for us. But this is a live demonstration for you of what automation can do. So if you go to this site, go to content.pringersolutions/automate, or scan this with your phone, you're going to arrive at the world's simplest web page. Looks like this, and it asks for your first name, last name, and email. This is not for marketing purposes. We already have your email anyway. Thanks for coming. This is to show you, because when you put in your email, what's going to happen is you are going to get a live email sample, and this is going to blow your mind, okay? It looks like this. You're going to click submit for sample. I encourage everyone, go do this right now, because you're going to want to save the email. You will then get an email that looks like this over on the right, and I'll zoom in a bit, and look at this. So this is an email. Imagine now you're a major gift officer or development director, and in the morning, every morning you get an email like this, and it tells you, hey, this person just made a gift above $1,000. This person just made a gift, they're a first-time donor. And it has that little prompt there for you. And on your phone, do this live, go click on that link, put in your email, because you're going to see how cool it is. You can click on that message prompt, and it will open a native email, whether you're using Gmail, Outlook, whatever you're using, it will open it already drafted from you to that donor with a message that's appropriate, right? Thank you so much for your gift of X amount. Or thank you for I think this is your first time giving to our organization. That's incredible. I just want to introduce myself. Maybe it's somebody who just completed a pledge, and you can say, hey, I saw you completed your pledge. That's so great. That's wonderful. Would you want to keep giving? Sign up for a recurring gift. Whatever message is appropriate. This is what you can do now through automation, and it is absolutely blowing people's minds. Like everywhere we have a waiting list of Stacy and Austin kind of building these things out for clients, because it is such a force multiplier. If you have portfolios, if you have major gift officers, or if you just are a one-man shop, but you have donors making gifts and you're like, how do I connect with them in a bigger way? This is the way to do it, right? So all the different things that you would do on your own, if you had unlimited time, you would do, but instead we just serve it up on a platter for you. Stacy, am I correct? So for building these automations out, so this is what we call heartfelt emails. They can choose, like, what is it okay if they just want to get 5 a day, or if they want to get 10, or like how does all that work?
Yep. So you set the messages, like what the actual copy of the message is. You can decide how many you want to get to each day. Yeah, who they're sending from, whether or not you send them. That's another great point, right? If we send you something that, we think this is a good one to send, and you say, John Allen just sent me a really nasty email last week, I'm not going to send his 10th gift email today, right? Like,
Yes.
so you just don't send things if you don't want to. So it gives you all the information you need really, really in an easy way to send all the emails that you would send if you had unlimited time.
This reminds me, we did a session on like database administrators and like the role of it. One thing that drives frontline fundraisers nuts, like the major gift officers, it drives them nuts if they have a database administrator that you always have to ask the magic question to get the report you need, right? Like you ask, hey, Austin, I need XYZ. And Austin says, here's XYZ. Austin knows it's not exactly what I want, but she's like, letter of the law, like here it is. The reason I love this is because when a lot of times you're getting asked for a report, the reason they want the report is so that they can then look at it and draft an email and do these donor touches and cultivate donors. So just think what it would feel like if somebody asked you for this report and you're like, hey, actually, I can do one better. I'm going to serve it up for you in a way that all you have to do, frontline fundraiser, is click on this thing and it's going to draft an email for you. They are going to think that you just hung the moon, right? Like they're going to be so happy and excited. That's why I like automation. Take reporting. Reporting for reporting's sake is not important. Reporting that leads to action is important. And this kind of combines the two together. We're very passionate about this. My watch has been shaking like crazy, so I can tell you that everybody's been downloading and sending those emails because I get a little alert. So good
we
job,
got
everybody.
about 12 or 13 of you guys did it. Good job.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
job. Check it out. Look at that email. It's yours. Keep it. Forward it to others in your organization. Be like, hey, would you like to get an email like this every day? Wouldn't that be really cool? And if you have more questions about it, we're going to be out at BBCon. We'll walk you through it. You can either set it up yourselves. You can have us set it up for you. However you want to do it. All right. Let's talk about this example. So this is the thing we did in Cleveland. On the topic of dashboards, reporting, automation. Stacy, you did a big project that's kind of all of them together. Tell me about what that was.
So Diocese of Cleveland had a scholarship program for their 200 schools, or however many schools they had. And every month they were creating reports for each school that showed the donors that had come in for those parishes, right? And so they had 200 reports to create, and this is a gift detail and summary report. Everyone's done a million of these in Razor's Edge. So one day a guy would sit there and run 200 reports and save them as PDF somewhere. And then the next day he would spend the entire day finding the right report and connecting it to the right person at the right school and emailing those out one at a time, right? So so this was a 2 to 3 day project. So what we created for them is a situation where now they say, okay, all our gifts are in for last month. It's time. Let's send the reports. And they click a button on their computer, and Power Automate goes out to Razor's Edge and gets all the gifts, and it separates them out into 200 different Excel files. And then it grabs the email address from the fund in Razor's Edge from a fund attribute, and then it sends those reports out to the corresponding person, and it all happens without basically anyone having to do any work anymore. So yeah, data entry as usual, and then reports magically get sent out to the right people.
When people ask why we're always talking about automation, and if you're a member of like their Facebook user forum, you hear us in there talking about it, like this is why, because there are so many organizations where there's just dumb manual entry, labor intensive things that are happening that no longer have to happen that way. You can automate things that used to be a grind to the click of a button, right? Yes, you need clean data, and yes, there's going to be some wonkiness in setting it up, and it takes a little bit of brain power. But once you get there, think how much better your organization is if they're paying you to do donor outreach or research or wealth research or something, instead of sitting there chopping up 200 pages of Excel and emailing it out individually. Like that is such a waste of your skills as a database person. Okay.
100%.
Let's talk about one more. Gift acknowledgements is big. Everybody asks us about gift acknowledgements. So here we're talking about gift acknowledgements. Gift comes in, you can send a letter. You can create a letter and send it. You can create an email and send it. No shock, automation can play a role in both of those. So Austin, tell me how this works. If you're doing gift acknowledgements through automation, what does that mean?
Not much for you. It just means it runs in the background on any frequency you want, any conditional logic you want, purely customized to your org, and it generates merged letters for you and presents them in any format you want.
And you can set up an automation so that as gifts come in, automation goes, says, okay, this gift was made to this fund, so draft this letter and go set it in a folder. And then let's say every Friday you send an email like this to the administrative assistants, like, hey, your stuff's ready. And they just click on it and it opens up the file for printing. Is that right?
Yeah, it just, those links in the notification gives you the final result, and you just give them a quick review and send them off. I think the most exciting part for me in acknowledgement automation is all those little decisions that you make, like this is from a donor advised fund. We have to pull the tax letter
Yes.
language off the bottom, or when this fund comes in, we always put a "the" in front of it. Like we can tell automation to make those decisions for you.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about the little things anymore.
Yes. I like it. Everything you can different letters for different funds, different all the little things. It's so funny. I love that example. Like in this letter, we have to write the. Like that's every nonprofit. There's someone that knows at that nonprofit that at this letter you need to insert the word the because the fund is weird. We don't need to live that way anymore, right? We can do better. Gifts above a certain level can be routed to the executive director or the university president for a personal note, whatever it might be. And when you do it this way and you build them out, you can also, Stacy, am I right? You can automatically mark the gift as acknowledged when the letter's created.
Yep, and you can add an attachment to the gift so it shows that if you ever need to reprint that letter for someone, you can click on that little guy and it'll take you directly to that file. Super easy.
Love it. And I want to pause there just because we had a bunch of people that asked questions about AutomateGenius. So let's answer some of them. I'm also going to put this up too, because this is another way if you want to know. There. Okay, so we got to pull it. So if you want to know more about AutomateGenius, let us know here, and then we can do follow up with you individually, so we don't need to talk about it a ton here. But Jennifer had asked a question. How long does it take to get one set up? She said, this is exactly what we're needing, which I agree. Like every day Stacy and Austin bring stuff to us. We're like, holy cow, everybody's going to need this thing. So if Jennifer wants to get up and running, how long does it take? Like for those heartfelt emails, for example, if they want to start getting those emails that prompt things, Stacy, putting you on the spot, what does the wait list look like? Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, what are we talking?
Yeah, Christmas is probably still possible. It usually takes us, once you sign up, between all the things that we do to set things up, it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to get your first emails, but it can be faster depending on how motivated you are to get started.
I like it. That's a good answer. Let's just roll into Q&A here too. I think we're in a good spot. All right, so Christmas, what about, sorry, no, I'm not even gonna talk about tax letters. I'm gonna save it. Come to BBCon session, or we'll do it live after and we'll talk more about automating tax letters. Question from Jacqueline. Is there anywhere, Austin, I'm gonna ask you, if anybody knows this, it's you. Is there anywhere that you know that shows a list of what Insight Designer can build versus just regular old like report builder?
I don't think there is.
This webinar is as close as it gets. This is as good as it gets, folks.
The free trial that Stacy was talking about, you can go in and experiment with things, and then it's pretty straightforward in that if you can't immediately find something or figure it out, then it's probably not possible. I did find Insight Designer to be sort of confusing. They use the word attribute in the definition that none of us go by. So there are classes through Blackbaud University that you can take. And that's what I did to help me get over that small hurdle, so I understood what all the words meant.
It has a feel, I would say this, Insight Designer to me has a feel of something that was built by like a different group than built Razor's Edge, right? Like, you know how you can just tell that like it has that feel. Words are different, and some you have to kind of do a little figuring it out. But as far as trying to build dashboards and things, it's workable, right? It can be even be good. We'll go that far.
Definitely.
Okay. Question from Kathy: do we have any tips if attending BBCon virtually? So if they're not heading to Seattle in like 10 days for BBCon, Austin, what tips do you have for them?
Treat it like you're out of the office. So put an out of office on, tell your coworkers that you're unavailable, and really dedicate time to it. 'Cause it's so easy to have it open on one screen and still be working on the other.
Right. That's a good point. What maybe you could even work from home. Like if you're in an office setting, just be like,
Or like go somewhere else. Like, go home. If you work from home, go to a coffee shop, like change your location so it
yep.
seems like it's different.
And I would say this: if you're making the pitch to someone that has to approve that, make sure you frame it the right way. Start with BBCon would have cost us $8,000. Can I save you $8,000 and attend virtually from home or a coffee shop or something? You put it in that perspective, and they're gonna be like, yes, of course. Because it does. It would kill me if not only can you not go, they also make you sit there and grind away at your job and try and multitask, which is not going to help you get ahead. Question from Denise. Oh man, I don't know the answer to this. Assuming that NXT, so if NXT does theoretically come back online, will we redo this webinar? Rob, what do you think?
Well, my initial thought as it was going on, and we've heard it's back up now. Is that what I've seen?
I am still not in. So.
All right. Well, here's what I'm thinking is Stacy can do this, at least at the very least. We can do some screen grabs and include that on the post-webinar email landing page that we'll send out to you guys tomorrow.
I like that. And let's not even promise that. I won't promise it by tomorrow because it is a crazy busy time. So that was me. I'm like, even as I don't want to answer this question because the answer might be not for a while. So we will try. We'll try and get some screenshots up or something for you, and maybe even January, February we redo this and we do it live with some screenshots.
Well, and to your point too, Nick, it is November. We are doing the webinar on using WebView more than database view. That's in November 19th. So mark your calendars now. We don't have the sign up page up yet, but we're at least have thought of it enough to know that that's a topic we want to cover. So November 19th at 1 p.m. Central, same time here. And then we could probably cover a little bit on that day too.
If we market that right, I bet that'll be the biggest webinar we ever do. When just talking about like web database view is shutting down, like come attend us and learn what to do. Okay. Any other questions, Stacy? Anything we didn't cover here? Bit of a wonky one today with some NXT issues, but I think people got the gist and people seem to appreciate it. Anything we didn't cover on reporting that we need to?
I don't think so. There's so much out there. So
we did get some questions about like benchmarking being available in Canada. And the answer is I don't know, but reach out to your customer success manager and your account rep and ask them because they'll be able to tell you something.
That's good advice. There's always that. I never know how to answer that either. I don't know the Canada rules, but I know it's different. The Blackbaud has different products there. Jennifer has a question. If you sign up for the emails from us, like the newsletter, you'll get notified. Absolutely. That's pretty much the main point of our newsletter. We don't bug you. We just tell you, hey, we got a really good topic coming up, and here's how you can sign up.
Yeah, that link will definitely be in our October email. So.
And then Robin, we sent out the recap for this too. Let's make sure we include that link for the free Automate sample. Just you guys do it. Put in your email, see that real life sample because it is going to be a really big deal to all of your coworkers. If it doesn't scratch your itch as a DBA, give it to your development director and be like, what would it feel like to get this email every single morning and have this all served up on a platter? They're going to go nuts for it. So make sure to try that out. Okay. Anything looking right now? Mark asks, is it safe to assume AutomateGenius is more expensive than Insight Designer, or is that a separate conversation? Probably a separate conversation. We're very transparent about all of it. Simple insights, like if you just want us to set up like a Slack channel or a Teams channel that gets notifications, that can be like $1,000, give or take. If you want us to design like the heartfelt emails, like to connect the flows and stuff for you, you're probably looking at closer to 5,000, give or take. Really complex stuff like that we don't do a whole lot of because it's prohibitive. You can spend up to $20,000. Like Stacy's example of like the really complicated report that then gets chopped up and emailed out. Those are big, meaty projects, which if you're a giant organization, that's well worth it for you. But I think most of the folks on the line just looking through, I think are kind of medium sized. But to be clear, don't look at AutomateGenius, don't look at automation as an alternative to Insight Designer. They're two very different things, right? Insight Designer is a more modern way that you can build dashboards. Automations are ways that you can, yes, create some dashboards, but it's really about delivering things, delivering that email, delivering the alert, taking it to that next step beyond just providing a report. So, but as always, you can always, on our website, go to automategenius.com, sign up for a conversation. We don't even call it a demo because really it's just a conversation where we ask what you're interested in, we show you different ways you can do it, and we're always pretty transparent about the pricing. Okay, so I think we wrapped up there. Thank you, everybody. I'm so sorry about the NXT stuff. Life as a Razor's Edge user here, but appreciate your patience throughout this. Stacy, Austin, Rob, you guys are great. So much knowledge here. I appreciate you all. Many of you we will see live in Seattle, and if not, look for this webinar link tomorrow morning and go from there. Thanks, everybody. Well, this is a good topic to have.